Hello, my name is John Troutwine. I'm the co-founder, along with my wife Susie, of the nonprofit organization called the Will to Live Foundation. The mission of the Will to Live Foundation is quite simple. It's to raise the awareness of teen suicide in our communities. My wife and I founded Will to Live just weeks after the suicide death of our oldest child, our son Will. Will was a freshman in high school here in Atlanta, Georgia area. He was 15 years old, he was big, he was strong, and he was healthy. He was popular and he was successful in all walks of his life. He was a good student, he was a good athlete, he was a fantastic musician. He was in a band, he wrote songs, he was their lead singer. And he had an army of friends, and he loved them dearly, and his friends loved Will just as much. He was a wonderful boy to be around, and when we lost him, we were obviously not only devastated, but we were completely stunned. The Troutwine family has always been a close family, a happy family, a loving family, a successful family. The word suicide was never mentioned in our home, ever. The word depression, mental illness, stress, anxiety were foreign to my family because we were uneducated and unaware. Will was suffering, and we didn't know it. We didn't see it. And he was not comfortable enough to talk about it. So we decided to form a foundation that helped create a culture where teenagers like Will would talk about it. And I remember thinking, how are we going to do this? We learned so much about suicide over that short period after Will's death, that it's happening all the time. Every 13 minutes in America, someone takes their life. And every 2 hours in America, a teenager takes their life. 1 in 5 of the people that you all know suffer from depression or some other form of diagnosable mental illness. I didn't know this. I had no idea. I was unaware and I was uneducated. And as a result, I lost my son. So we decided we were going to find a way to spread the awareness. We were going to educate the community that life is not as it seems for many of us. Depression is real. Depression is maskable. But it's also treatable and it's beatable and it's okay. But not once did I ever say to my son, it's okay to not be okay. In those days and weeks after our son died, we struggled trying to figure out how we were going to survive ourselves. How are we going to get through this? And it turned out it was our friends, it was our teammates, it was our life teammates that simply carried us through. They showed us love, they gave us hope, they showed us understanding, and they simply carried us through. I remember at Will's funeral, I was giving the eulogy, and in the crowd I was speaking to all of his teammates, telling them that Will would want them to love each other. And while I was speaking to his teammates, I started to see my teammates from when I was Will's age. Teammates from my middle school, my grade school, my high school, and my college. I grew up in the Chicago, Illinois area, and here I was in Atlanta, Georgia, some 40 years later. And my friends had traveled from all over the country to be with me. My life friends. Those first friends that I learned about life with. That I experienced my firsts with. The greatest friends I ever had. The godfathers to my kids. The groomsmen in my wedding. My greatest friends I met when I was Will's age. When I was a teenager. And at that moment, during the funeral, I realized what this foundation that we were creating was going to do. It was going to work with teenagers to get them to recognize the love and hope and the understanding that is sitting right next to them in the classroom and in the sidelines or in the dugout or in the church youth group or in the band or the chorus or the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the chess club, whatever team they may be on. They have teammates that understand. They have teammates that understand the obstacles that they face, because this world today is nothing like the world that I lived in when I was a teenager. That fact was interesting to me. I never once thought about just how hard it is to be a teenager today. You teenagers have it harder than your parents did when they were your age, and you don't hear that very often. And when I do talk to parents, sometimes I get that look, and I say, guys, you didn't have the internet. You didn't have a cell phone. You didn't live in this 24/7 negative world that your children do live in. You guys have it hard, and I'm impressed with how you navigate through this craziness. And during this time of the pandemic, it's even more important to always realize that the people next to you in the classroom, those friends of yours, truly do understand you, and they would want you to talk about it, just like Will's friends wish he would have talked about it. So the foundation was created to help create a culture where we enable our friends to not be afraid to say, hey, I'm not okay. Because it is okay to not be okay. And that's what we're all about. Avon High School has asked me a few questions that I'd like to answer them now. The first one is, what are some warning signs that people can exhibit when they feel depressed or suicidal? It's a great question. And they're very obvious signs. And if you Google signs of suicide or signs of depression, you will see them. But basically, it's a difference in your normal behavior. Obviously, being more quiet, not being happy, not wanting to do the things you always love to do. Those are main signs for that. Not having a sense of caring anymore, not being excited about things that used to excite you are the big ones. Not being able to sleep is a big sign of depression. Gaining weight or losing weight could be a sign. But always remember, depression is also maskable. My son Will didn't show any of those signs, but he had depression. That's what's so important. And the next question you ask addresses this. What are some protective factors that can keep us safe during these times? Talking about it, expressing yourself, understanding that you have friends that care about you and love you, and that understand you, and that know that it's okay to not be okay. So don't be afraid to talk about it, because life is hard. It's very hard, and we shouldn't be ashamed to be struggling, because guess what? You all know people that are struggling. Finally, the last question is a very, very important one. What do we do when we feel this way, and how do we get help? In your town and in your school, there are places to go to get help. We always say a trusted adult is a great place to go get help. That trusted adult, that adult in your life that you can count on. Often it's your mom or your dad or your grandparents or your aunts or uncles. It could be a teacher, it could be a coach, it could be a minister, it could be a neighbor. Don't be afraid to talk to those trusted adults and say, hey, I need help. And they can take you to the places to get professional counseling. There are so many counseling centers in all of our towns that can help us. If you see a friend that is struggling, you should act. A-C-T. You acknowledge that they are struggling. You say to them, hey, I understand you're hurting and I'm here. That's the A. The C is you care. You show them the love. You tell them that you're here for them. You tell them, love you, man. And then T, you talk about it. And you talk about it with an adult. So when you see someone is struggling, you act. Be that type of friend that your friends can go to. Make sure that the friends in your life know that you're there for them. Guys, I love you and I wish you all the best, and always know that the Will to Live Foundation is here for you. Thank you so much for your time. Love you, man. Thank you.